And then if you get into YouTube and can hear it briefly, that would be nice if you're in YouTube. But everything appears to be working, so you can call it order whenever you'd like.
Let's call the Adams County Brownfield Redevelopment Authority meeting to order on Thursday, May 15th, 2025. Roll call please.
Mr. Groom.
Present.
Mr. Genzer.
Present.
Mr. Frischbacher.
Here.
Ms. Howe.
Here.
Ms. Clark. Mr. Post.
Here.
Mr. Bruger.
Here.
Mr. Bleeker. And Mr. Berry.
Here.
You have a form.
Thank you. Moving on to item agenda 3, approval of the agenda for the May 15th, 2025 meeting.
Oh, support.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Moving down to item number 4, approval of meeting minutes from the April 17th, 2025 meeting.
Support.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 5, correspondence and communications. None. Has anything new come through?
Nope, nothing new.
Nothing new, okay. We'll move down to 6, budget report.
Okay, yep, so budget to actual is included in your packet. Nothing significant to note. We did budget for potential capture coming in later this year from the 2024 approved housing TIFs. Those local units have received their packets, their information on how to set that up, who to call if they have questions. I haven't got any questions, so I'm gonna follow up because I gotta believe there's questions. So that's in there. We haven't received any there yet, but there isn't anything else of consequence. We're not to a point where we need to amend, so we're in good shape there. And then just for giggles, that came out a lot smaller than I had hoped it would. But Pam and I just submitted a draft budget for FY 26. We'll approve that later in the year in August or September. But I thought I'd just throw it in the packet for you guys to start looking at because it's going to start to look a lot different as we add these housing TIF projects to it. So I just threw it in for review. It's in draft form. It has to go through fiscal and all the different avenues. So I thought I'd just include it for your information. If you have questions on it, I can try to respond to those now. Or you just put it in your hip pocket and know that we'll be looking at this later and have more of an opportunity to discuss later in the year after it's gotten further through the process at the county level.
One question for you, Becky, fast for that Eagle home. How are we doing?
Fantastic.
Are we?
Yep.
That's the only Eagle home we have.
That is correct. Yep.
Any other questions for Becky?
Why are you doing a negative service contract?
Are we in FY 26?
Well, no, let's go back.
Yep.
Projected. There.
Yep.
And this is very impulsive and I haven't looked at it, so I can test everything. Looking at the current property tax that's top on the revenue side. 12,659, 434.
Yep.
Service contract 653, 288.
Mhm.
Should those net out or is there something else?
This.
Why don't they net?
This is split, so this is a thing that doesn't make sense to me, but it's a thing that fiscal does. What you see here is the 95% that comes in that will then be redistributed to all of the appropriate places. And then the 5% comes in as revenue. So it's just one check, but fiscal splits it out. So the 95% that we're gonna then send to developer, we're gonna send to the state, what have you, is up here. And then the 5% goes in here with the application fee as our admin side. They just split it out on the revenue side rather than distribute it like all the other ones do. So that's a good question. And I like that you look that close and notice that. These are good things. And these are things that, you know, don't pat yourself on the back too hard, but just, no, but these are good things for the board members to look at. And if anything looks weird, you need to ask me because we all make mistakes or whatever, you know, for your own understanding and just for a double check. It's always good to have eyes on it. So there's no dumb questions when it comes to budget things.
are we able, I see the interest investment, are we able to hold on to that money long enough for interest, or is that something else that?
That is, and I actually have to change that number, but that came in after I sent the packets out, and it'll change again. So it's silly to even modify it. It'll be 1,700 and something else per fiscal. The interest on, and I don't know how they calculate it, but we are now only over the last 2 years, we as a project, an object, an org, get interest off the general fund. Before that interest, I believe all just went completely back into the general fund, and I'm not sure how that was utilized. Now, interest is allocated to all the programs. Don't ask me how that happens, but I know that that just started occurring, and that is interest that is allocated to our program out of the general fund that's generated through our, where Cheryl invests it and all that. If she were here, she might be able to speak to that a little bit better than I can. So,
Oh, that's good.
yeah, so that is new over the last, I think, 2 years. And Pam tried to and when Pam does the budget, she'll get an interest number, and for whatever reason, fiscal will give her a number, and then it'll change the next month. So it's always changing. So we get interest, but it's always a moving target, and I don't fully understand that piece. So
That's enough. Do we, in asking that question, it does prompt me to ask follow-up, which is, do we hold on to that money long enough to put it somewhere, gather some interest that we could put in Brownfield, or does that go like?
that comes back to, yes, that comes back to our program. So that is money that we would then start to look at, just like we look at the 5% admin in capitalizing the Brownfield incentive program, or, application money. So is that what you're meaning?
No, I thought that, back up to the very top, the property taxes that come through, that $600 and some $1,000.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about? That's what I'm referring to. Can we hold on to that long enough that we get some interest that can go Brownfield?
Essentially, that's what the 2K is, and that's where my understanding of it stops. Yes.
Oh, that,
The 2K.
Okay.
Not 6. What is it? And Cheryl's probably that in. So
they're just for a day of hold on, but
yeah, so I don't know how long that one.
that'd be the one.
Can I take a friendly, oh, no, there it goes. Okay, I was gonna say, take a friendly pause and defer to Ken to see if you got on YouTube and see if things, is the camera moving around? Okay, because it just picked up. It was
That was
just,
the first time it moved. It's been sitting right on you two guys.
right, and I think it's because it hears my voice. It's too close to me and it can't hear you guys to switch to you as much. I'm just like pre-gaming for the future if I can get this further away from
Now
me.
split screen
Okay.
there and here.
Okay, so certain voices are loud enough for it to pick up. I just want to make sure it was working proper, because I did notice it was just on me, but it's because I'm sitting right next to it. So,
So if
okay,
I
thank
try
you.
to talk over you, does it bring it over to me?
Talk louder.
You can go louder.
Louder still?
Yeah, holler at me a little bit.
1, 2, 3. I'm asking questions.
I don't feel like you,
They're smart questions.
I don't feel like you
Nothing,
changed your
yeah.
voice at all.
Don't go back quite a delay.
Yes, you're really delayed over there. I'm still not seeing it here on Zoom, though. It hasn't, it's still looking at me. Okay, I
I
just,
just made a table in the middle with an extension cord.
yeah, technology is rough.
Yeah.
Thank you for entertaining me, trying to sort that out, so. So that is all I have on the budget report, was the budget to actual, which we're in good shape. It's May. Will we end up having to will we get by on a year without having to do a budget amendment? I don't know, that would surprise me, but maybe. And then the FY26 for review, and that's all that I had.
And we'll move down to item 7, the IT committee report.
And I'll kick back to Gary.
So, thank you, Becky, and
Yeah.
please let me know if you see the camera turning this way. But was it just yesterday we met?
Hmm.
Yes, okay. So we met to consider 2 projects, one in Grand Haven at 1445 Columbus for a $13,000 request for phase 2. This looks like a really nice development of taking a parking lot, turning it into 36 condos or something like that. Something we would really like to see. After discussing, we thought the
I'm sorry, if you're flipping, looking for that, I have the notes that we took yesterday that didn't land in your packet because of a timing thing. I'll put them up so we can reference those when we get to the discussion on these projects. And if it seems wonky, it is because the committee report is like a standard item in the agenda. That's where it lands. But everything that's contained within that report is going to be part of the new business that we'll discuss at that time. So that's why, if you're looking for all that, that's why it seems wonky.
Shall I hold my comments then until we get to the substance?
Yeah, I think let's
Fine.
report, we met yesterday morning at 9 AM to discuss the projects before us, and we'll talk in detail about the committee report when we get to those business items. I think is probably the easiest way to make this follow along how it should. Oh, the camera moved, yay, and I have no idea why. It's looking right at Gary. It finally caught up.
Didn't have to hear.
It will in a minute. Get ready, it's gonna be super
It's
amazing.
gonna be exciting.
It's gonna be so exciting.
And then we'll move on to
Hmm.
item number 8, old business.
Yep. Done? Oh,
Okay, now we'll move down to item number 9, new business. A Park Township VIP incentive, the motion to set a deadline for June 30th, 2025, $5,000 incentive approved for the 01.18.12024, and to authorize renovation of the incentive if the reimbursement request is not received by the deadline.
I'm gonna get a motion in a second before discussion, or you want me to give you some backstory first?
I'll move it.
Okay.
Second that.
Okay. So discussion, those of you that were around last January on the board, you remember when, Howard Fink came and was discussing with us about some contamination they discovered at the airport. It wasn't a traditional brownfield incentive project that we were looking at, but we thought it was valuable because it protected public health. We said, yeah, let's help you with some of that topsoil to cap those problem areas to the tune of $5,000. I hadn't heard a lot from Howard. At one point, I had a conversation with him. And he appeared to be a little bit hesitant to take the incentive. I sent him the package and he didn't send it back. I did attempt to contact him a couple more times to see if he wanted to take advantage of it. I haven't heard back, but I get the impression that he is not going to pursue this. So I'd like board approval to just say, hey, I need you to get this in. If not, we're gonna put it back in the kitty so we can use it. But I will give Howard a call and visit with him. This is not, it sounds super negative, but it's not. I don't think Howard's gonna use it and I don't want it just swirling around out there. So I just want to confirm that with him. And if his board and he thinks they're gonna use it, then I'll push hard to get him to complete everything so we can get that taken care of. But, if he says, yeah, we're not gonna pursue that, then we can just take that off the table and put it back in the bucket. I just want.
$5,000.
He came, looking for $10,000 to support capping that area. And we went with 5, because that's how we roll sometimes as a board, support, kind of come in and help, but maybe not carry the full load, particularly on something that isn't, specific to ESAs. Yeah, it was a little outside the box. We said, this is good, we want to help, but this is how much we're gonna help, yeah. So thoughts on that?
Is the work done?
Yeah, it's all done. They're playing pickleball out there and stuff, everything's happening. Yeah, community park or what, I think they call it community park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Area.
Mhm.
I think do a veterans. Monument, close to where the hangars are, closer on Apple Beach Road. I would suspect that would be more likely to be a smart issue.
Yeah.
Those pickleball courts are.
Yeah, I don't know where the courts are. I just know they're out in that same park now, but yeah, the contamination part would have been southwest-ish area of it, yeah. Right?
Is there anything magical about June 30th?
Nope. It just seemed like a good date
A
to choose at the
reasonable amount
time.
of time.
Yep, I had to pick one and that's the one that I picked. So, but if he changes his mind on, July 1. Yeah, so that's just how I thought I would handle that. We've had other projects get real stale here and there, and I've had to, track people down, but those were ones where I was pretty sure they were gonna use them, it's just a matter of pushing the paper. This one, I've gotten the impression from Howard that he may not continue to pursue it. So I just wanted to take care of that.
That fund is $5,000.
Yeah. Yes, we're getting down there. Yeah, and I'll pop that up here in a minute, so.
Any other discussion or questions for Becky? There's a motion on the table, so all those in favor stating aye. Those opposed, motion carries.
Okay, thank you, and I'll call Howard versus an email and have a talk with him and just sort that all out fully and take care of that.
Moving down to 9B, VIP assistance request from the city of Grand Haven. The motion to approve the Brownfield incentive for phase 2 environmental site assessment at 1445 Beech Tree for Beech Tree Leasing LLC at a not to exceed amount of.
That's where our discussion will come.
Do we want to throw a number on there for now?
You can make a motion and then do a friendly, or you can make a motion with the BIP recommendation and then make a friendly if it's not consistent, if you would like to. Six,
6,600?
yep, 6,650.
Okay, I'll make that motion. That's it.
Second, sir.
What the board would, the committee to explain.
Yep, and then now, yeah, the BIP committee can talk about the project and our discussion yesterday. Here's the notes we took, and I can pop up whatever else you guys would like to see as the discussion goes on.
Beech Tree, cross street, office,
Yeah, like the animation corridor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is Rainy Days Cafe and Spotlight.
It's where the old dance studio.
Yeah, this was Spotlight Dance Studio. Yep.
Becky, did everyone get the summary?
No.
Together?
Nope, I posted it right here rather than do another email. I thought I'd just bring it and post it. So here's the summary of the discussions.
Yeah, so all pluses, no minuses. And, we looked at, our past practices, thought, most consistent was, a 50%, of the, work needed to do the, vapor investigation. So, strong support, but coming in at 50%.
Yep, so it is located near a lot of other sites that have significant contamination. It's on top of a plume that is been problematic for other projects. So right now it's just a parking lot and a big old storage building. So if we can convert that into mixed use and some market rate housing and with some good capital investment, I think this will be a good project for the Beech Street corridor.
Interesting. Interviews. State aid, no petroleum, no hazardous special waste have been generated or stored at the site, going back to 1975. I think what brought this about was machine on the pavement near a storage, like a diesel or something.
No, that wasn't even considered a wreck. This is more the adjacent uses. So you've got Challenge right here. You've got Eagle Ottawa right here. You've got the vinyl chloride plume gradient heading that way towards the river. So it's the adjacent and the plume that is gonna trigger. Yeah.
To Bloom,
Yeah.
Mechanics.
Yeah, yes, I can. And full disclosure, obviously I work for Fishback. This came in as one of our clients, so I won't be voting. But I can talk to you about this area because I have done a majority of the sites here. So to the south is the recording studio. That's a former driveway. Challenge Machinery has a vapor barrier. With vapor barriers already installed, so does glass source. Eagle Ottawa Tannery, every building has a vapor barrier.
Can you back up at all? I'm curious that,
That's just.
that's not.
I can-
Okay.
I can back up. You want me to?
So
You
what it
carry
comes
on.
down to is that whole corridor has contamination. So I don't think the issues are gonna be site specific, it's gonna be area wide. And with the chlorinated solvents that are affecting this area, their exclusion distance is over 100 feet in some areas, which especially as you look at residential uses, it puts you in the most restricted category. So this sampling will be able to determine if the buildings there in the future will need any beautification.
Being though to the Grand River floodplain there, the flooding, that is a pattern.
Yeah, there's a lot of different mechanics, and obviously all the utilities that are in the water table, because the water table is shallow, so it kind of pushes everything around. But that whole section of Beach Street has issues that.
So obviously Grand Haven has their own DRA. That'll go to them, but I'm excited about the project, that Beach Street corridor there, it's a struggling business district, any way to bring housing to that area. Would be
Oh my
huge.
gosh, it's so slow. Yeah, it's not working out well.
The developer, Westwind, you're familiar with that.
Yeah,
It's after building.
Yeah.
What else do they do?
Well, they were,
Every Dollar General built in the state of Michigan.
every Dollar General.
Yeah, in Grand Haven, same thing, I think, it's downtown Washington. So great developer side, I hope it goes through.
Yeah. Do they have a housing affordability component with their brownfield
So
assets?
this,
I know it's not us.
We're not there yet.
this is gonna be market rate, so.
I heard one of you mention.
Yeah, so these are gonna be market rate houses, I believe, you know, so when we look at the affordability component, that opens up the core community status for non-core communities like Hudsonville. Like, Grand Haven is a core community, so those are already eligible. So they don't need the affordability component, to get those eligible activities. Obviously, they do their best to keep them affordable, but they don't need to go to the initiatives.
I'd say my own.
Yeah, oh, I know.
Literally the only corridor, first time. Would you
Explain,
But there.
so,
Let's get.
Hudsonville is not,
We get another conversation. This is for if anybody's watching online.
Why? The classic story.
It's a good point,
Sorry, we're
Rebecca.
getting away.
There you go, David. No.
I was asking for clarification of this core community thing, because we spent quite a bit of time on the Hudsonville TIF to have, portable units, but this project is all market rate. And Hudsonville is not a core community, and, Grand Haven is.
Correct.
And what is a core community?
So core community was established by NEDC back when a lot of the legislation, it was originally designed as the capitals of each of them. So, you know, some have gotten added in, but in Ottawa County, our only core communities are City of Grand and the City of Hunter. So those two are eligible for site prep, infrastructure, and environmental. All the other communities in Ottawa are only eligible through traditional brownfield methods for environmental related costs. So Hudsonville, where we did the housing, their site prep and their infrastructure were eligible because they had the affordability component to them. So in the city of Grand Haven, you don't need to have the housing affordability component to access site prep. Interesting and frustrating for small communities.
Right.
But it's kind of just, the problem is it's codified in legislature, so it's gonna take a lot to change the core community. And that's why it hasn't ever been done.
That would have to happen at the state level.
Yeah, and it's just not going to happen. We've asked this many times. So,
That's where the land bank utilization comes in, because land bank allows you access to those same benefits through brownfield TIF. So utilizing the land bank, passing it through. Yeah.
there's a couple ways to do it. Now, Grand Haven doesn't need the affordability component to get those infrastructure. Now, if they wanted to do housing cap, then yes, they would need affordability. But I'm pretty sure on this one, the issue is going to be infrastructure and site. I think to build are kind of where their gaps. But I don't actually know the numbers, but that's what.
Thank you.
Good question, Gary.
Becky, I was wondering if, we looked at making a comment to Mishta on, the affordability, mechanics. Would they be interested in hearing from us on the core community? Would that help? If if our board said this is maybe an area that could be revisited sooner rather than later, would that help?
Not sure. I don't think it would because Spring Lake Village, I think at one point petitioned MEDC to add them to the core community list and they couldn't even get that done.
We've gone as high up as you can. It's an MEDC, is the core committee that governs that. They haven't really added any since they started it, so I don't think, I think that question's gotten asked a lot, and I know we've raised it, a lot of communities have. It doesn't hurt, but it also was an effort that may not work, but,
There's pushback on
yeah, and I think it's based on how the original, legislation was written. I think I've talked with, Rob Garza, who's one of the MEP specialists, because I've expressed my frustration times about this. And he said there was something related to how the legislature was written, it would have to pull back a lot of different things, and I don't think they could get the support. There's a lot of internal mechanisms that would do it, but they haven't found another alternate mechanism to score community status. Other than the land bank flip and affordability, those are the two ways you open up those two activities. I wish, though.
So, any other discussion or questions before we go to a vote? Hearing none, since there's money attached to this, we'll do a roll call, please.
Ms. Hawk,
Yes.
Mr. Broom,
Yes.
Mr. Berger,
Yes.
Mr. Foltz,
Yes.
Mr. Gensler,
Yes.
and Mr. Kirschbacher is abstaining, and Mr. Barry.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving down to 9C, VIP assistant request from Holland Charter Township. The motion to approve a brownfield incentive of phase 1 environmental site assessment at 402 East 8th Street in Holland Charter Township, not to exceed the amount of.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's where I come in. The recommendation from the committee,
Second.
You need to put the $2,500.
yes, please.
So not to exceed the amount of $2,500. We have a motion to support. Further discussion from the board or the committee?
The feeling was that maybe from our experience, a sharper pencil on a phase 1 would be 2,500. And the request at 3,700 maybe was a bit of a staff. So we thought we're being responsive and supportive, but with our experience, 2,500 is probably a more realistic figure. That's kind of how we viewed that and how we came up with that nice round number.
That's enough that we use from historical knowledge, right?
Yep, yep.
I'm just thinking of a couple of the new board members that are.
Yes, and admittedly, this popped up quick. I asked Corey to get an estimate, so he, his consultant just threw a number, so it might not be the best number, but he was just getting me a number so he could, complete the application to the full extent possible, so I think that's all good.
Lemon, right. Location.
Yeah, lemon fresh.
Lemon fresh.
You want Brownfield. I'm gonna guess. Directly locations is legacy.
There's a greater than 96% chance that we'll have issues.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's a very good point. Dry cleaners are one of the top red flags that Eagle has, so. Part of this discussion, obviously the phase 1 will help. There will be a very hefty phase 2 that'll probably be needed. So I know there's been talks with Eagle in their Brownfield site assessment program to see if they could jump in and assist on the side of it. So those conversations are being had. I know that spoke to
I
Andrew.
spoke to, Eagle, and then I also, in a wild hair, reached out to the State Land Bank Authority to see if maybe they could rustle up some unobligated blight elimination program grant funds to see about dropping the building. Because it does not look like it does right now. There's an explosion and the building's falling in and it's hazardous. And Holland Township wants to, get this dropped, so it can facilitate other redevelopment around there, because there's some other redevelopment that's proposed in the area that's a little bit hamstrung due to lack of parking. So that was their idea, was to get a hold of it and make that go away and turn it into that.
Definitely for the safety of the concern too.
Yeah, so there might be some other ways that we can help, Holland Charter Township tackle this, you know, and have it be less of a financial burden if we can get some assistance maybe from Eagle or maybe from the State Land Bank. And at the very least, help them with the phase one to get things rolling, because they're gonna need a phase one and a phase two in order to drop the building, so.
Kind of an odd location. That's in Holland Township. They need a break.
Yep.
Yeah.
Does the end use occur? Does the end use as a parking lot impact what is gonna need to be done?
So the end uses of parking lot would affect the due care side of things. So as a parking lot, you wouldn't need to put in like a vapor mitigation system, but you still have to do the environmental due diligence to get your cleanup liability protection. So you just wouldn't have to, they wouldn't have to take it beyond the state of a BPA, so they wouldn't have to do anything else like. You know, it kind of depends on the levels, it does volatilize. I guess if the levels are high enough, you have to look at, you know, will your asphalt get eaten away too? So I doubt it, but you know, there are some considerations with how they volatilize.
Yeah.
But because it's a parking lot, you don't have to worry about the paper side of it.
What if the asphalt gets eaten?
I've seen it.
We thought using these chemicals was a good idea.
Well, they eat through the floor.
The shirts look good, though, they're so crisp. The creases were razor
Bob
sharp.
works good at what it does. But they still have to get to the end stage to get the liability protection.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, so this makes a fun project to see how else we can assist them.
Oh, good. Talking with the taxpayer.
But we want to recap of where we're at right now and where I'm at and see. Maybe excited. Maybe yesterday. Excited. Okay.
All you have to do is look at that building and say, probably a good idea.
Yes, I saw the picture.
And the quote that was received here was not done by Fishbeck, so I can't go.
Thanks for that clarification. So again, since there's money involved, this motion will be a roll call, please.
Mr. Kirschbacher,
Yes.
Mr. Brew,
Yes.
Mr. Genzer,
Yes.
Mr. Bruder,
Yes.
Ms. Pop,
Yes.
Ms. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Post,
Yes.
and Mr. Barry.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Moving down to item 10, public comment. Seeing none.
Wait, let me look online.
Well, let's look at the use of your-
I don't think there's anybody out there.
Please raise your hand.
No.
Okay, so then we'll move down to item 11, other business discussion and updates. We have potential projects.
Yeah, I guess just to say that there are multiple different developers and local units contacting me, looking at using the tax increment financing for housing predominantly. So there's a lot of discussions going on, trying to do a better job of managing, and it's working, getting with the developers at the local unit level, so we can kind of walk alongside in a better fashion. So things align when it arrives here to the authority and then to the Board of Commissioners. So, I don't think all of them will come to fruition. There might be some local units that set up their own authority to manage the project potentially. I think we're gonna see that more and more. And we officially have one application that is official. They paid their application fee, and that is the 5500 Lake Michigan Drive project, which has been around for a while now. And we did visit with the super at Allendale Township and talk a little bit. So just working through the next steps at the local level to see what the appetite is there for that project. So it's not ready to come to us yet, but it is in the works, and all the other ones are just on the conversational stage. Let's see, I don't think there's any specifics I have to share on that. Oh, and one thing I didn't share. Which one is it? This one. I did add, just because this is my ugly tracking sheet, so don't look at it too closely, but right here, I did add a column in my sheet, so we could look back over time and see how much was requested for each of our BIP projects, and then what we actually awarded, so we can just do a quick look. And then we can align these with our notes, not in every case, but in most cases, like I remember we, diesel plant came and asked us for 5. And we matched some money that the Grand Haven BRA was gonna kick in towards it, so there's some documentation there. This was full money because it was a phase 1, and we often go full money on phase 1s. This one just came in under budget. This one came in well under budget. This was approved at 3,000 and came in under budget. So just, variety of things. Some projects asked for the moon and they only get part of the moon. So I just added that column so we could track that.
Was Fishback involved in, the
Yes.
Depends what side, yeah.
that testing didn't really come back as,
Well, the diesel. So there's a lot of things. The testing doesn't show as bad as what. Very good at the building.
you're gonna change hands back to Capstone.
Well, I knew it was happening at some point.
That's helpful info, I think.
You're welcome. And then this is just our status in the BIP right now. So with everything that just occurred today and assuming Park Township doesn't take their incentive, and these two pay out at about that level, then would be about $18,800 left in the fund to get us to when we have some capitalization, the LBRF, which I suspect we may continue to use as, we'll kind of transition the BIP to that, because we're not gonna have a significant amount of money until some of the other projects capitalize, or if we identify a different stream to capitalize that, and start revolving money out of there. So we'll have some money going into their end of 2026. So it should cam over pretty well. And then I guess the last thing is that it is May 15, and I still haven't heard from EPA. We did submit an EPA Brownfield assessment grant for $500,000. Haven't heard. We're supposed to hear in May, so hopefully we'll get some news soon. As always, I don't, hold my breath on that, but some years we get lucky. So I think that's all I have to report on other discussions.
Any other member reports or updates or?
I guess the only thing I would say is Becky sent it out is the National Brownfield Conference is in Chicago this year in August, so.
Oh, yeah. there's that too.
We don't have an EPA grant that normally takes for a couple months, but the registration went live a couple weeks ago.
I'm almost out of budget, but I do have enough to pay the registration and to stay with a friend so that I can go. Because I don't usually go either unless we have an EPA grant, but since it's so close, Chicago, yeah.
So, I reached out to Mr. Bessinger and Gary's work regarding the Brownfield, the new project that's here, and he wrote and he stated that, it's been a while since he's spoken with the developer. He's working on a PUD agreement, and he has, legal permit for the sanitary sewer main extension, and his application for the water main extension is being reviewed by Eagle. And I also noticed that, Windsor Place in the village, Spring Lake Village, they have the fencing up and they have the contractors' trailers there and everything, so it looks like they're starting to make some move there.
Rebecca, which project in Perrysburg were you referencing?
the Stillwater next door to Cedar.
Thank you.
It's not our project, it's Ferris Burke's.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to clarify that.
Anything else for the good of the order? Need a motion to adjourn?
Wanna go now?
Sure. All those in favor, say
Aye.
Those opposed,
Stay seated.
motion carries. Heard I almost beat the time. You had a really good time with all that. Because there were a couple meetings before that, we had visitors, we had guests.